Welcome back to CryptosRus. I'm George. We're all George. So, welcome to another market open stream. Today, we got to talk about the war. Is Bitcoin in trouble? Of course, war broke out this past week. So, what is happening exactly? Why is this happening now? How does it affect the U.S. and Bitcoin? Let's talk about all these things and more. All right, let's do this. Welcome, guys. Hopefully you guys are having a good Monday. The market bell has rung. So, yeah, the U.S. market not looking so good right now. It's not the worst. We have seen much worse openings, but today definitely seems like there's a little fear on, or in Wall Street, I should say, right? Rightfully so, because last week, of course, we had basically war breakout, right? What is it about? There's one person that actually breaks it down really nice for us, and I won't cover it, but in case you haven't seen it, right, the Hamas launched an attack on Israel, all of a sudden decided to launch like 5,000 rockets or something crazy, right? And there's a lot of people that fell, that fell because of it. There's retaliation. So basically, the Israeli and Palestinian conflict has escalated into full-blown war on Saturday, right? And this continues till now. So obviously, whenever you have war breaking out, it's no good. And people have stopped talking about Ukraine and Russia. I mean, that war is still ongoing too. So there's two wars actively going on right now. But why is this happening, right? So that's the thing. Why all of a sudden? So I saw this explanation, and this has a lot to do with the U.S., and it actually makes a whole lot of sense if you think about it. So I saw this, Kim.com. Okay, yes, I know it's a funny name, but, he wrote this. Understanding the Hamas attack on Israel, okay? Iran is backing the Hamas, by the way, a military group backed by Iran. So Iran is aiming for a confrontation with Israel and the U.S. The success of Russia and Ukraine is encouraging Iran to undo decades of hostile U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. A bankrupt U.S. government has just been invited to another war. The timing opportunistic. The U.S. government is forced to print trillions of USD as it struggles to raise new debt. What I've been saying, right? Another war would lead to significant increase in inflation, accelerated economic decline of the U.S. All right, and then the rest, right? And this also has to do with oil. The Biden administration has used the majority of U.S. oil reserves to stabilize domestic oil prices. Iran can increase their pain for the U.S. significantly. So basically, it sounds like that this is just a right opportunity for them to do so because the U.S. is already bankrupt. We just surpassed $33 trillion worth of debt. We're about to surpass $34 trillion of debt, and we keep going up by $1 trillion every single month. Okay, more than $1 trillion every single month, right? So is the U.S. really going to enter this war and print even more and go more into debt by maybe tens of trillions and print even more money, So that's the thing, right? So it sounds like Iran is purposely doing this on purpose right now because they know that we're in a situation where we're probably not going to try to increase our debt significantly and have to print more money, okay? Although it might still happen, but it's the timing of it, right? And also the oil thing. Obviously, oil has been going up. The Middle East has been cutting production, so barrels of oil has been going up. Luckily for those of us in the U.S., we have not seen gas prices go up too significantly. I mean, we're still, most of the nation is around, $3, $4, $5. We haven't seen the previous times where we have gone up even more, $6, $7, $8, right? So it has been stabilized, but again, it's because we're starting to tap into our own oil reserves. And, so this post actually makes a lot of sense of why this is happening right now Out of all the times it could have happened, why right now, right? So this could be, I talk a lot about irresponsible printing, the accruing of unsustainable debt that will eventually collapse the whole financial ecosystem. But other people are looking at it as, well, this might be a reason to start a war with the ally because the U.S. is simply too bankrupt to help. That may be the unfortunate thing. So how this relates to Bitcoin? Well, I did mention oil. Oil is going up, obviously, right? So oil is definitely going to have effect on inflation, right? Supply chain, shipping, everything to do with shipping basically will go up. Cost of goods will also go up because of it. And plus, things like plastics, for example, they will go up, right? So this will definitely affect inflation, which is not good because we know in the U.S., because of Powell, right? We know Powell wants to raise rates one more time, right? At least one more time. And having inflation is going to help him do so very easily, right? So this will definitely not be good. And also I saw this, although this is basically dropping a bucket for, since we're used to it. Bank of Israel is going to sell $30 billion worth of foreign bonds, including U.S. bonds, right? But $30 billion these days is nothing, considering that we're accruing over $1 trillion of debt every single month. So this probably will not hurt our, fundraising, I guess, so to speak. But yeah, this is also happening, right? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. But usually, what happens in times like this, when there's a lot of uncertainty, when there's a lot of fear and doubt, FUD, what do people do? They flock to stores of value, right? So that brings me to Bitcoin. So far, in Q3, this is even before, obviously, this war that broke out, commodities have been leading the way, right? Stores of value. Things that people can hold on to and they feel like it's worth something, right? Possibly like precious metals like gold and silver and copper. And also other things that, real estate, for example, right? Just things that people think, physical things that people think will hold value. But there's one non-digital thing that's considered a commodity that has outperformed everything by leaps and bounds, okay? And that's Bitcoin. Nothing has outperformed Bitcoin, right? So we haven't seen this before. We haven't seen Bitcoin exist in previous recessions. We haven't seen Bitcoin exist in previous wars either. I take that back. Maybe there's a war or two, but, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. But going back 12 years, I don't believe there's any major wars. Anyways, my point is this. When people get fearful, right, they turn to what they know. And they turn to, precious metals and commodities, right? But we have a new commodity that's better in every single way, right? So do I expect Bitcoin to get weaker from this conflict, from this war? Undetermined at this point. Undetermined. I am realistic, right? Meaning that if this war turns out to be much worse than anticipated, and somehow the U.S. is drawn fully into it, protecting its ally. Now, I had to research this. Israel and Egypt are the only two allies to the U.S. that are non-NATO members. Okay, so they are considered ally. If the U.S. gets pulled into this, and it becomes very, very bad for the U.S. economically, right? And our stock markets and markets overall start crashing, will it affect Bitcoin? Yes. Yes, if everything crashes, everything crashes, right? So will that happen? Yes. But let's say we do start accruing more debt, okay? We get more and more debt. We get possibly higher rate hikes. We get possibly more banks to fail in these kind of situations, and inflation is sky high. I think in those situations, it actually might help Bitcoin. Actually, more people will turn to Bitcoin because that's exactly what happened earlier this year, right? When banks started failing due to basically high inflation, due to high rates, right? What did people flock to? They flocked to Bitcoin, right? So I think that this could actually help Bitcoin as well, right? So I'm kind of in the middle right now. I know a lot of people are like, I don't know, right? Is this go affect it? Is it not? Yeah, it's kind of like a wait and see moment right now, right? Obviously, this war just broke out. It could last years upon years, okay? And right now, Bitcoin's price, although it went down about $500 overall, hasn't really moved. So, do I think Bitcoin will be affected by this? Long term, definitely not. Short term, let's see. But everything else I've been saying about Bitcoin heading into the Santa rally, heading into the halving event, and everything else that's happening in 2024 has not changed. Not changed because of this, right? So, speaking of not change, CZ comes out and makes a bold prediction about Bitcoin today. Okay. So, basically what he's saying is, strap on, because Bitcoin always hits multiple all-time highs, and people have short-term memory, meaning that, yeah, we're not anywhere close to our previous high, and we always have multiple, by the end of every run, we have multiple, I guess, the high is multiples higher than the previous high, right? Let's just put it that way. It happens every single time. Our last high was 69,000, but the prior one was 20,000. The prior one before that was 1,000, right? See the pattern? So this time around, our high is going to be much higher than 69,000. And people have short-term memories because they either forgot or they just weren't around, right? So according to CZ, nothing changes, right? And I've said that. I've been telling you guys, this is the absolute worst time to be getting out of Bitcoin, because this is when it gets really exciting. Really, really exciting. Okay, here's something that looks at previous cycles. We're only 200 days away from the next halving event. Okay, less than 200 days. And we're right at that point where, yeah, we're right about at the halving event. And right afterwards, guess what happens? We start going up, right? So we're getting closer and closer and closer to that. And you guys know why the halving event is important, right? Because the inflation rate of Bitcoin gets cut in half. All the inflation shenanigans that's been going on recently, right, around the world, right? Bitcoin has the opposite. It moves opposite what the world is doing, right? The world is causing artificial inflation right now. Bitcoin is causing artificial deflation, basically, or disinflation. So like we're right at that point. Previous cycles, you're down like about 65% at this point. Another one in 2019, we're down about 60% at this point. We're still down about 60%, right? So again, it doesn't always rhyme, but it doesn't always repeat, but it tends to rhyme, right? And that's exactly what's happening right now. So even if you discount everything else that's going on in the world, all the macro stuff and geopolitical stuff and wars, even if you discount everything, you could make an argument that Bitcoin should be at this point because of the halving events, because of the cycles. This is how Bitcoin moves. You could make that argument as well, right? But looking at these patterns, here's another fractal pattern. Pre-bull run 7 months out, right? Yeah, again, you can make that association like, hey, this is what we're supposed to be doing before we break out into wherever we may break out into, right? 200,000, 250,000, 300,000, right? It looks almost identical. So really nothing changes. And here's something else too. Just 11.69%, less than 12% of circulating supply has changed hands over the last 3 months. All-time low. You guys are used to me saying all-time high, but in this case, all-time low is the same. Basically, no one wants to sell their Bitcoin. No one wants to trade their Bitcoin. It'll be silly to do so. This is a time to be accumulating, right? So long-term holders continue to hodl and hodl and hodl and hodl and hodl, right? And short-term holders or short-term retail investors that don't believe, they've basically gotten out. So now you're left with just people that are holding and institutions that are buying. Because we know institutions are buying. There's proof of that. You can see the exchange reserves drop dramatically all the time, randomly. And we know all the spot Bitcoin ETFs that are pending, that are about to be launched, right? So, again, this comes down to supply and demand, right? Supply is going to be cut, and demand keeps going up. I mean, it's really that simple. It really is. What else is there? Well, I guess according to Gary Gensler, it's not that simple because he still argues that crypto has no innate or inherent value. Obviously, Gary does not believe that. He's lying through his teeth. When he was an MIT professor, he was telling all his students how great blockchain is. He would talk about Ethereum and Algorand and Solana and all these projects. He would talk about how great they are and the innovations they bring and how the future will be so different. Yet now, as SEC chair, he's arguing they're all worthless, right? Why the 180, right? Why the 180? No idea what's going on, but he will continue to disrupt as much as he can. Will he win? No. The going rumor is, and I'm hearing more and more and more from people that are saying this. I don't know if people are just following each other or making these up, but there's more and more rumors about how Gary will push the spot Bitcoin ETFs until March, very last moment, and then he will approve them. So, are we gonna get one? You know, there's a deadline, I believe, this month, and that's the last deadline until January, and then there's one in March. But most likely he's going to delay this month's and then delay January's and then allow spot Bitcoin ETFs to happen in March. That's the going rumor. And the going rumor is he's going to get a nice cushy job afterwards with BlackRock because he's basically doing this as a favor to BlackRock because he knows he's on his way out. He's planning his future, his exit plan, basically. That's what I'm hearing. We'll see if it's right. We'll see if it's right. And then what else is going on? Let's see. I guess this. Tokenized short-term U.S. Treasury coming to Base chain from Coinbase. It's actually getting a lot of attention recently. So someone will be offering U.S. Treasury, short-term U.S. Treasury. I guess short-term Treasury makes sense because they offer such high yield, but long-term U.S. Treasuries are really suffering right now. So I don't know why anyone would be holding long-term U.S. Treasuries. It continues to tank. Short-term, I guess it could be interesting, but you know, why would you? Okay, I don't know. It's just my opinion. Why would you buy a tokenized version of a U.S. Treasury when you could just buy a U.S. Treasury, I guess? Anyways, coming to Base. Base is, like I said, doing very well. Volume expanding. TVL has even surpassed ZK Sync, almost 600 million. So Base chain is doing pretty well indeed. And then here's a graph of deals basically, and you can see Base is right at number 5, right below Coinbase. But look at Binance. Binance is more than double of the the next closest competitor, which is Robot Ventures. Binance is going crazy, but Coinbase and Base, if you add those two together, that's quite a lot. That's a lot. And then you can see a Big Brain Holdings, Animoca Brands, and recent Horowitz, Emergo. Even Emergo, I guess that's all Cardano stuff, right? Hashkey, Robot Ventures. All right, that's enough of that. All right, Bitcoin is a little bit weaker today. Overall market is just slightly weaker by the Israel war, Israel-Hamas war. All right, let's do some Q&A. U.S. market is recovering, not nearly as bad as 30 minutes ago. All right, let's see here. Let's see what I missed. Almost 3,000 people tuned in. Welcome, guys. Smash of that like. Money printers will be switched on soon. I mean, I think this thing from Kim.com is basically what's happening. It makes a lot of sense. But the U.S. government is so broke right now. Can we really afford to support a new war? Moon, the Feezy, yes, Moon member for sure. Well, so far, October isn't bad. We did go up, but it's still only the first week. Usually October, the previous charts show that Bitcoin starts going up in the second, third, fourth week. So October isn't over yet, but Pumpvember or Moonvember, maybe. Gary gets a nice job in jail pressing license plates. Is that still a thing? I think that's been replaced by robots or machine presses. Jose, and George wants to start crypto influencer fighting. How could this be a good thing? I see a lot of people saying that it's going to be bad. Tell me why it's bad, right? It's not a reflection upon the crypto industry. It just lets some steam out. It's some entertainment. And some people they're real serious about this. Some of the people I'm inviting have been fighting, practicing, I should say, not fighting, but practicing martial arts for years. This is a way for them to challenge themselves. It's a real challenge. And this will give people a real backstory, because what I plan on doing is giving people backstory on how these people, came to be, who they are, right? Why they got into crypto, why they want to start a fight, right? There'll be some interesting backstories for sure. It's not going to be the only thing in crypto, obviously. There's still going to be many, many, many things that people can pay attention to, such as development and projects and so forth. But I think this will be another entertaining way to get people to focus on these guys that are planning on fighting and their stories and get some entertainment out of it. Wendy-O versus Ragsney. Ragsney is significantly bigger than Wendy. And I don't know if she fights, so I don't know. Is it too early for ordering a Lambo? I don't know. It's never too early for that. You probably have to wait 2 years anyways. How important is the macro when it comes to having a Bitcoin's possible bull run? Well, macro certainly wouldn't hurt if it's favorable, right? If it's not favorable, can it, change the timeline of things? Yeah, possibly. But, like this right here that I'm showing almost proves that macro doesn't matter because we're exactly at the same point. At this point in time, before the halving event, 200 days before the halving event, if you look at the last cycle, we're exactly at the same price point at minus 60%. So you can make the argument that macro really didn't affect things at all. But I do think this is a coincidence. Macro certainly does affect things for sure. We have seen it. But, that's short term. Long term, Bitcoin has proven itself. It could get through anything. I have 5 fights already lined up. 5 fights. Looking for a 6th one. And then it'll be over. Joseph, supposedly Megan is just too good, so no one could fight Megan, and Wendy is too good of a friend of Megan to fight her. Who's Crypto Casey? A lot of people are saying Crypto Casey. Who's Crypto Casey? Oh, I've seen her videos before. I never talked to her before. I don't know. If she's into fighting, I'll reach out to her. So far, I'll say I talked to Wendy a couple times. She does not seem very interested in fighting, even though she has skills. So I don't know if she wants to. Yeah, no one from Hit Network has accepted. Just FYI, I've asked almost everyone. None of them wants to get in the ring. A lot of kickboxers just do kickboxing for fitness and never sport. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, most people that are fighting don't have any real fight experience, right? This is for fun, for entertainment, right? But they're challenging themselves to something real, right? It could be over very quick, but maybe these guys will last all 3 rounds. So, life is short, right? Just do what you want and don't have any regrets. I guess that's the best way to live life. Crow's fighting. I already found him an opponent. Someone that actually will be really, I think, a really good challenge for him. Ermin. I want to, but I feel like that's too inappropriate, and Ben might have a problem with that. But, you know, I can see Bethany. She may want to, but I haven't asked. Is there any way you can make it a raffle that the chat wins matches to fight the influencers? I would be down. Maybe for like the next one, you know. We'll see. I mean, this could expand into like, I don't know. This could expand to something big, or maybe nothing. I don't know. But let's see how the first one goes. And if successful, then you know, we could talk about other possibilities. You'll never see this with Microsoft versus Apple, but look at Elon and look at Tesla and Facebook. Elon and Mark. Mark was serious about fighting Elon. Elon kind of like played it off as a joke. But even big tech titans, the biggest tech titans on the planet, the richest people on earth, were thinking about doing this, right? No Tesla Model Y 7-seaters in Australia. Are we missing out? It's too cramped, Derek. It's too cramped to be useful anyways, to be honest. So just, you know, if you really want a 7-seater Tesla, just get a Model X. The prices have been cut a lot. But there are a lot of downfalls to the X too. Utero, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Do you think it's still possible to accumulate Bitcoin by selling at the end of the cycle and start to DCA the year after? It's possible, but it's hard to time, and it's hard to predict the future. Even though I do state that history tends to rhyme, right? But this time around, there's a lot of things that we haven't seen before, like institutional interest and spot ETFs. Spot ETFs can cause a disruption because now you have hundreds to thousands of funds that may be holding spot Bitcoin ETFs and not selling, and that leads to more holding. And if the holders continue to accumulate, and now you have big institutions also holding, you know. Dan from CryptoCapital Venture, you know, it's funny. I didn't know how large he was. I was searching for Cardano influencers, and Dan is the biggest. So I actually reached out to him yesterday. I want to talk to him. Cowan is for sure out. There's no way he's doing it. Data Dash, or AKA DoorDash. He never responds to me, you know. So I can't get a hold of him. Brian Peterson. You know, another way to think about it is a lot of these guys may squash their beef afterwards. You know, some of these guys have like a little light beef, some don't. But, you know, it's a good way to squash their beef too, right? So that could be the good thing out of this. Altcoin dealers are not fighting. Am I fighting myself? Not this one. I might consider the next one, seeing how this goes. Because not that I want to fight anyone, but it'll give me an excuse to get really into shape and bulk up with muscle, not fat. You know, we'll see how this first one goes. Or maybe. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, you could do like crypto influencer events for anything, not just fighting. You could have like 3-on-3 tournament, right? You could do drag races. Yeah, you could do racing. I mean, literally, you could do anything. It could be fun, but it just so happens, I know Karate Combat, and they're a real fighting league. This could work out really well. Dash probably thinks you're an irresponsible pumper. He's very pessimistic for short term. It sounds like you're saying it in his. You're pretending to say what you think he's thinking. No, I'm not irresponsible. I've been in a space longer than most, including him. And I truly believe. I truly believe in Bitcoin, unlike most people that are pretending to believe in Bitcoin. So that's the difference. And Bobby, I think you're just spreading FUD about me. So I'm banning you from the channel. We need tag team events next time. Honestly, flying elbows. Okay, Stymie, this is not WWE. All right, although that would be entertaining. Do you get WWE style fighting? That's just too much. All right. Bring chess to Cohen and he'll be down for it. Influencer chess matches. That doesn't sound very exciting. I guess that's a possibility. Yeah. Or influencer dance-offs. You could have anything, really. I'm not loud gulping my water. Good Lord. The people that are complaining about it, you guys are the most sensitive Karens out there. I hate to say it. It's like I'm not gulping loudly on purpose. I'm doing small gulps, but you guys are so sensitive about it. You guys just need to calm the F down. I can't stand those comments. It's like, Jesus Christ. I barely drink anything from my cup. All right, anyways, I think it's time to leave on that note. All right, well, is Bitcoin in trouble? You guys know. I don't think so. I don't think anything changes in 2024. Short term, of course, if there's some major disaster that happens and everything is selling off, then of course. But long term, especially as we head into 2024, I think Bitcoin will do just fine and continue its way upwards because there are a lot of charts that show that we're just doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? Moving the same pattern as before. All right. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.